Hi, and thank you for joining us today on the Road to Recovery. I'm your host, Ronda Jackson, serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. And joining me today is Khnum Alexander, the brandineer of Swankmans Fashion. How are you, Khnum?
I'm wonderful, Wanda. It's great to see you this morning. It's a pleasure being in the same vicinity as you, even though we're on the internet.
Okay, no. This virtual space of ours is growing closer and closer together. And I'm glad that you
Mhm.
accepted the invitation to connect with here on the Road to Recovery. And for those of you that aren't aware, Road to Recovery helps emerging and established entrepreneurs grow their businesses. We put you in the driver's seat so you can manage and maintain your business. We do realize, however, that there are those of you that have pivoted and you've changed and you're marketing and you're trying to rearrange things. So today's conversation is going to be about how to start that business, right? How to start that new pivot, because sometimes it feels like square one. And Khnum, you as a serial entrepreneur as well, are here
Mm.
today to share a little bit more about that with us. So for those that aren't familiar with Khnum, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Like you said, I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've been raised in business all my life. I don't know nothing else but business. So ever since I always say from the candy house that my grandmother had, you learned that I didn't understand what wholesale versus retail was, but I learned that at a very young age. And then from that, we family had a beauty supply and hair salon. I learned to do hair very young, even though I fought that for a minute. But I became a hairstylist right out of high school. I guess it was the stigma from a heterosexual male doing hair. It was just like, that's what I was running from. But I actually enjoyed it once I did it. And that's what set the tone. And I probably had several businesses.
So Khnum, for those that aren't as familiar and near and dear to you as myself, will you tell us a little bit about Khnum and Swankmans Fashion?
So started Swank Men's Fashion during the pandemic, and Swank Men's Fashion is a men's haberdashery that focuses on cultivating the whole male.
Okay. All right. I like that whole self. That's one thing that we truly, truly believe in because in business, it's going to tax you and take your whole self to be present and to be
Yeah.
successful. So thank you for that. So one of the ways that I do like to start the show is I like to ask the guests for one word that they would use to describe now. What would your word be?
Resilience.
Okay, say more. Why resilience?
Because, during the challenging time, I always say change is the most constant thing in the universe. And you have to be resilient during the change. Even if you have a plan, you have to be resilient in getting that plan to fruition. And as a business owner, Rhonda, that takes a lot of resilience because so many things try to thwart you from, you know, bringing that to manifestation. And I think resilience helps you do that.
I like that because in our pre-talks, one of the things that you mentioned as being important to starting a business was having a plan. Can you say a little bit more about developing that plan and or even just deciding to put pen to paper? Or did you? Are you one of those brain people that you know what you want to do and it stays in your head?
Yeah, I'm one of those brain people that put it in their head, but I say it's a necessity for you to add pencil to paper
Yeah.
because it helps in that manifestation process. Because if you're just thinking about it, it's like a nebulous thought and it can leave you. And if you didn't write it down, that you'll be like, you've done it before. Like, I had an idea and it's right there. So that pencil to paper, pen to paper helps solidify it and it helps crystallize this nebulous thought. And then you have an action plan after that where you can implement these plans.
Right. The other thing that I like about pen to paper when you want to formulate an idea into reality is
Hmm.
that's almost the birth of it, right?
Hmm.
So think about it when a mother, she's, with child, when it's inside of her, it's still a part of the mother. But once the baby is on the outside, once that that rule or that plan or that mission, that business that you
Hmm.
like to develop goes to paper. Now it's been birthed, right? It can materialize. You
Hmm.
can share that with others. Other people can hold it and bring you resources to help build it with you. So did you
Hmm.
have to access any resources to help build your business?
Of course. I mean, the people around me, like yourself, this networking and being in other businesses, you already set the trajectory and you put the right people around you in place so you can hit those marks that you're seeking after, you know. So it was like other people in the retail space that I knew, that it was connecting with them, letting them know my plan and how they, if I seen a synergy where we could work together in a harmonious way, then I would just, like, hey, reach out. Like I reached out to you. Hey, this is the vibe I'm going for.
What do we want to
Where
do?
can I get some more vintage stuff that, would fit the ambiance of the space?
I love that you call it a haberdashery.
Yes.
The other
Yes.
thing that I love, Khnum, and I just want to touch back on this, and you mentioned it in your conversation now. You wrote a plan, you had an idea, right? You wrote it down, and then I heard you say that you shared it. And a lot of
Mhm.
times I feel like people have this myth that if they share things that someone's going to take it away from them, or it won't happen as smoothly. Can you talk a little bit more about the ability to share and what that brought to you?
So, you could come from that frame of mind that, oh, if I somebody's going to take it, you know what I mean? That's a scariest mindset to me,
Mhm.
and I don't come from that position. I i feel I create well enough. If somebody takes this wants to take the same idea, they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, so somebody may see that as a good idea. The whole part of being a trailblazer is somebody sees the idea and you got other people following behind you, following suit. Now you have this whole tribe that you started
Yes. Yes.
that is following you. So why not share the idea? You know, Sharing your dream with some people that don't see the dream, you have to be so solid in it, because people could tell you, like, yeah, think you should watch who you share it with. If you're insecure about, like, okay, I don't know if I should put it there.
So wait, so when you say that, you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of blue jeans. How
Hmm.
many different types and styles and brands of blue jeans are out there? And I've never heard a company say, "Oh, I'm not going to sell any more blue jeans because there's already a bunch out." People make blue jeans, new brands
All the time.
all the time, all the
All
time.
the time.
So I actually, when I catch myself like, "Oh, somebody's done that before," my brain is automatically trained now to go blue jeans.
Hmm.
And then I go, oh yeah,
Hmm.
that's right, because mine is this brand, and this is going to be my way of doing it, and here's my
Hmm.
sticky, or or what have you, or here's my spin on it.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. But the other thing that I hear that you have, and I've known you for years, so this is something that I just know about you, is that passion, that drive. Where does that come from? And does a business owner need something like that? And how do they quantify that in order to start their business?
Oh, yeah. If you don't have that, then I would say don't start a business, especially a brick and mortar,
Okay.
because it's not like, once you get in that brick and mortar stage, it's no longer a habit. Like, oh, I got this hobby that I want to test out, and you could do that online. It's Online presence is very important now. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an online presence, but I think you solidify something when you, like, okay, this is a store.
Right.
And I think people value it more when you have a store. I have an online business too, but when you're dealing with fabrics, people like to come and see it, touch it, feel it, try it on.
Yes.
And I know it's a lot of online shoppers, but for men, we don't shop that much online. Hey, me personally, I just create what I like to. I want to feel it. Oh no, that fabric feels nice on me. Like, oh yes. So you
So,
kind of get away from that when.
so I
So you have to have resolve as a business owner to like push forward, you know, and what you desire to see, and don't let anybody sway you from that.
I love
You
it.
know, you have to have that resolve.
So, Khnum, so you've talked about having your plan, writing it down,
Mhm.
sharing it. I did hear you say with like-minded people, people that you
Yes.
create those synergies with and know will support your vision. And then I also hear you saying that there's a passion, or that knowing your why and your purpose. So you are
Hmm.
filling a need for people that want, one, a sense of community. Two, I know that Swankman is a little bit more than just a clothing store, that it is a true, it is a watering hole,
Experience.
right? It is a gathering,
Yes, it's
right?
experience.
Right. So that whole experience. And so creating
Hmm.
that and putting all that together, how can I say it? That wasn't cheap. That cost a little something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
That
So,
and, and that's why we when you said something is capital, you
yes.
know, you have to have something to fund your dream. I mean, even if it was past work, you know, you say what's that saying? You It's an ends to a means.
Oh,
You
means to
you
an end.
can't a
Yes.
means to an end.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can't say your ego be so big that you can't do certain things, because you know that's not the end game. The
Right.
end game is to get here
Yeah.
in this space. So, you know, check your ego. And
So did you rely on friends and family, prayer? I call it prayer and plastic, when you're putting everything on your Amex.
yeah, yeah,
Or did you go a
yeah.
traditional route, and were you able to access funds through a bank or a community lender?
No, I had some savings,
Okay.
you know, so I I'm a I'm gonna say like I just went all in. I believed in the making a profit in what you're passionate about. And I've been passionate about fashion since I was young, you know,
Right. Yes.
and I just like I really decided like, hey, stop running from it, you
Mhm.
know, just do it. And that's what I did. My grandmother always used to tell me like, hey, you have a certain, and I just, you know, you step into that, you know, you step into, she imputed in me so much that I always say like it carried me through life. Those
Beautiful.
positive tidbits. The, oh, you have a certain je ne sais quoi, and finding out who I truly was at a young age. You kind of, no, I want to be this regular person right over here. No, you're not that. So
Yeah.
it's just you have to be able to gamble on yourself. And business is a risk. It's a calculated gamble, though.
Mhm.
I always say a gambler can be a professional if he really knows what he's doing. So being a professional business owner, you can gamble on yourself.
Yeah.
That's
Sometimes, or do you feel, let me ask it in the form of a question. Does the risk outweigh the reward? Or does the reward outweigh the risk?
I always say the reward outweigh the risk,
Yeah.
because you feel the risk when you initially do it, but when the reward comes, you're like, wow, this is great.
And I
That
think,
feeling is euphoric.
but there's also milestones to that feeling, right?
Yes,
Milestones to that.
yes.
It's the we finished it and it's built, and and then we've opened our doors. Oh my God, we've earned our first dollar. Oh my God,
Mhm,
the first customer has come. Wait, that customer came back. So I feel like it's
mhm.
that investment that keeps on giving. And then, when you even graduate to hiring your first employee for your business, I think,
Yes.
there are several milestones. So, and I think that's where a business plan really comes in handy, is because it allows you the opportunity to map out what's going to keep you in the game, because if you're
Hmm.
doing it just to make a dollar.
Hmm. And I think the business plan is important because you can always go back and look at it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the reason why I did this.
Yes.
So let me stay true to my business plan, my brand, and stay consistent with it.
Right.
Yeah. So business plan is always
So
important.
that business plan is a living, breathing document. It's
Yes,
not
it is.
something that you just put away on a shelf and you're done.
No.
It's something that you revisit, over.
Quarterly.
Yes. Okay. I like
Yes.
that. I like that.
Yes.
So well, first of all, let's start this a little bit over. If anybody is interested in visiting Swankman's fashion, or, hearing more about your journey, or maybe even an employment opportunity, what's the best way to connect with
You can go to my website. It's swankmensfashion.com, or you could come by the store,
you?
2709 West Manchester Boulevard, Inglewood, California. I always say you can see the pictures online, but you can't feel it online. You know what I mean? It's almost like you just buying a cup of coffee and you never go into the coffee place to feel the ambiance and everything.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, it's
it.
a feeling.
So, okay, we've got our business plan, we've got our purpose, we know our why. We're accessing capital, whether it's from personal savings, whether it's from financial institutions. But what's the one actionable thing that anybody within the sound of your voice that's interested in starting a business, what's the one thing they should do today?
Write it down, what you want to do, and allow that to permeate in your psyche, and see if that's something you really want to do, and then make steps to doing it. I don't like, for me, it's just like contact somebody in the field that you're in. Are you the space you want to go in?
Yes.
Volunteer some time with them and make sure that's something maybe you really want to do. Because that's going to solidify, like, hey, I want to do this. You know, you got somebody that may want to be a chef and don't know the process of being a chef, and may not want to wash dishes. You know what I mean? That's something you got to go through. You know what I mean?
That peeling potatoes, not the deal.
Yeah, that's a process. You'd be like, I got to skip to everybody. We're in that culture now. Everybody wants to skip to the end, or get there quickly. And some people just need to know that there is a process to this whole manifestation. This just didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It was a process.
Here on Road to Recovery, we say that our success strategy is information plus implementation equals transformation. Right? So just knowing about it, just thinking about it does nothing if you don't put that plan into action, if you don't throw resources at it, if you don't get those contributions that would actually transform it into being that beautiful, wonderful store of yours, or that mission or vision of a business that, people that are listening to this conversation will want to be a part of. So thank you so much for sharing your journey.
No problem.
Thank you for being an example, to others that want to do something like what you're doing. I appreciate you being here today.
And I thank you, Rhonda, because you are a pillar in my life. As we talk about so many business, and it's always good to have somebody like Rhonda that you can, even if she's just a sounding board, to call her and say, hey, I'm doing this. What do you think about this? Or it's just great to have that kind of spirit of fellow entrepreneurs that can almost, like, how you go to a revival and you want to, that calling you is like that. It's like going to a revival and it's like, okay, I'm back on it again. She's inspired me. I could finish my race.
Yeah. Don't tell me to do something. I'm the last person, if you're not serious about doing it, don't tell me.
Yeah, don't tell you about it. Hey, so what you doing with this?
Right.
Yeah. And you need those people in your life, those accountability partners, whether they may be distant or close. You need that. You really need that. And you are that resource for me, and probably for so many other people, because you doing wonderful business, and what you're doing sets the example.
Thank you. No, thank you. It's been quite a journey for us all. And here on Road to Recovery, we just want to continue to share stories like yours, Khnum, where if you put your mind to it, you put the energy behind it and the action, then it can come to fruition. So just, wanted that as a model. Thank you for the kudos to me as well. And we look forward to having you back and seeing how well you continue to do. So continue successes to you.
Yeah. And stop on by Swankmans Fashion. the bombest men's haberdashery in LA County.
Very much so. Very much so. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.